Cup Series race. Here are your hosts, Kevin Bedstone, NASCAR Sky, and Jeff Davis.
Welcome back, race fans, to another episode of Mash the Gas. I'm NASCAR Sky. Joining me shortly, Kevin and Jeff. And we're here to talk about the Great American Gateway 400 over at Pocono, where Denny Hamlin continues to add to his wins. Now he's trying to catch Dale Earnhardt on the all-time wins list at number 7. Then we're going to go ahead and talk about some naval-based racing, which I'm really excited about. But before we get into all that, I think you guys know the drill by now. But Kevin, who mashed the gas the hardest?
Well, Sky, it's always a good feeling when you can throw it over me, and I can say that my pick was correct, as Denny has got his first three-peat in his career. Hard to believe with as many race wins as Denny now has with 64, surpassing Kyle Busch, that he's never won 3 in a row. He's got 4 point series wins on the year, 5 if you include the All-Star race. You know, he's cut that point lead down to 19 behind Tyler Reddick. Just absolutely having a phenomenal season. 824 laps led, 11 top 10s, 9 top 5s, and now 4 wins. Like I said, Jeff, that 11 is locked in.
Yeah, he's definitely on fire, you guys. I mean, to see him win these last 3 was incredible. And it's funny because you think about it, I wonder how many drivers have actually done that. Well, there's actually quite a few that have. And just at the beginning of this year, as we know, Tyler Reddick won the first 3 races of the year. But Kevin, like you mentioned, you know, the points, I mean, when we go back to Charlotte, or even let's go back to Watkins Glen. Let's see here. Tyler Reddick was 129 points in the positive. And then after Charlotte, Hamlin gained 7 points on him. So he put him 122 in the positive. And then, you know, Hamlin goes on his heater, winning Nashville, Michigan, and Pocono, dropped it from 97 to 51 to 19 points, like you mentioned. It's just amazing. I think Danny's going to catch him. I know they've got a little internal bet kind of going back and forth, giving each other some heat. But overall, it was a pretty good race. You know, Denny Hamlin got his very first win almost exactly 20 years ago. It was in 2026 when he got his first win at Pocono. So, you know, I thought it was a fun race to watch, but Toyota is definitely dominating, you guys.
It's definitely Toyota's year. Chevy seems to be kind of picking it up a little bit. Ford's, I mean, besides really Ryan Blaney, there's not much to say about them. But it was a pretty good race. I mean, Denny Hamlin, what he's doing is just so incredible. And it makes me think back to, you know, what Stephen A. Smith said about them not being athletes. And it's just like, what 45-year-old is still competing top of the, you know, whatever sport they're in? I mean, what he's doing, I don't want to necessarily compare him to Reddick, but I think it's almost more impressive than what Reddick did in the beginning of the year. I mean, Denny is just on fire, that entire team. But I feel like no matter what the outcome is, I think Denny will be happy, whether it's him or the 45.
He's kind of in a win-win there for sure. Like you mentioned, the only other athlete I can think of, Sky, is one of your favorites, Mr. Tom Brady, getting it done at this age. So
goodbye.
Yeah, no, Denny, what he's doing, it's just incredible. I mean, and he knows it. You know, you listen to him on his show, and he says, we're trying to appreciate this run because you don't know when it's going to end. And I love that Denny is also so transparently honest. You guys heard him on the Prime broadcast. He goes, well, at least I got to get in here before you guys are done, because you won't see me next week in San Diego and obviously over TNT for Sonoma. You know, Denny is just not confident in his road coursing abilities, even though he had 3 consecutive poles on road courses. Of course, this is going to be a unique street course that we're all seeing for the first time. But I mean, the reality is, Jeff, he kind of knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he's focusing on where those guys excel. Pocono being one of his best racetracks. We're going to get back to a 1.5 mile oval at Chicago here after the road course breaks, if you will. Indy coming up, bunch of different racetracks. So I think if I'm Denny Hamlin sitting 19 points behind Reddick, sure, it's still going to be a battle. We know how good Tyler Reddick is on road courses and frankly everywhere. I wouldn't say he's got this thing completely won, but to get it down from as far back as he was in as short amount of time as he did, you know, Denny's he's driving this thing forward.
Yeah, he is. I mean, if you look at current active drivers with the most starts with their current organizations, Denny Hamlin's got 736 races. Closest one to him is Chase Elliott with 369 races, which is just amazing. You know, almost double what Chase Elliott has for starting every Cup Series race in their career with the same organization. And if you look at like the most laps led this year, Joe Gibbs Racing has led 1,463 laps. Hendrick's right behind that with 913. And then you've got 2311 Racing with 596. So I kind of look at those Toyotas, and you take your Joe Gibbs and your 2311, you've got over 2,000 laps led. That's double more than any other organization has if you put those two together. So, like I said, the Toyota's got it going on. Ford's got a little bit of catching up to do. I think we are starting to see some progression and some speed coming out of the Chevy camp there, and Hendrick Motorsports is starting to pick it up a little bit. Kyle Larson got a P5 out of this one, which I thought he had a good chance to win this race, but once Denny caught up to him, it just put him back. He got in that dirty air a little bit, and he just could not continue to be in the top three. But so seeing Denny Hamlin with a P1 and Tyler Reddick in P2, it really doesn't surprise me. And Sky, I know, last week you weren't here, so I picked one of your guys for you. He got a P10, so I got you Ryan Blaney. But I think Penske, they really have a little bit of work to get going before anyone drops out of the standings.
I definitely agree. Penske's got to get it together. I mean, I'm happier to see that the 12 pit crew has not been as atrocious lately. That was pretty much their Achilles heel for a while, because Blaney, I mean, he is just leaps and bounds better than a lot of the people in the field, but especially the Fords. And it's nice to see Austin Cindric as well. I feel like, I mean, he's moving up there. Joey is almost non-existent at this point, it feels like. So, Cindric's really holding his own there as well. He's really impressed me. I think he finished pretty well this race as well. But you know what? We didn't mention this. We were talking about Toyota before we, go Ford lane to Ford. What about legacy? John Hunter Nemechek, he got up there. He got what? A top 5, and then you have a top 10 out of Eric Jones. I mean, that's just so incredible. And I think that also is just tying into the fact that Toyota, whatever they figured out in the offseason, whatever they're doing, I mean, they've found something, and it is working for them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sky, you kind of hit the nail on the head with Eric Jones, because if you look at like the first 9 races of this year, he didn't have he had 0 top 5s. He had 2 top 10s, 2 top 15s. His average finish was a little over 20, like 20.67. But if you look at the last 6 races that Eric Jones has ran, he's got 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 4 top 15s, and his average finish has actually jumped to just barely over 13th position. So, to see that, and his average running position is 14, almost 15 P15. But in the first 9 races, his average run position was 22nd. So, yeah, you're right. He's really stepped it up. And, Kevin, if you look at the points that he scored in the first 9 races, 147 points. In the last 6 races, Eric Jones has stepped it up and gotten 167 points. So, Sky, you're definitely right about Eric Jones and Legacy stepping it up.
Well, and Jeff, you kind of hit it there with the points. Eric Jones now finds himself 3 positions better than he did last week, which puts him into the chase. So, Joey Logano slipped 1, Brad slipped 2, getting caught up in a mess there. A couple guys got taken out in that little 3-wide wreck that took SVG 3 wide there with Austin Hill. Unfortunate, Connor Zilic got caught up in that as well. But yeah, I was impressed with Legacy, and have been. I mean, if you were just rattling off there, Jeff, if you were to draw kind of a chart, these guys are heading upwards in the right direction. And I think the Penske Fords are kind of middle of the field. Joey slipping a little bit, have some work to do there. I was hoping for something a little bit more out of the RFK Fords as well. I mean, Chris Buescher did put up the fastest lap of the race, kind of just quietly, clicking off top 10s as we go through the season. Again, another tough break there for BK. He just can't seem to get a whole race put together without getting caught up in some of the mess there. But, that wreck that took those guys out early, Connor Zilic, man, he just, no matter where he is, front of the pack, but back of the pack, middle of the pack, he just always seems to get caught up in some mayhem.
Yeah, I tweeted or X'd, posted, I don't know, whatever, about how I don't feel like Connor could catch a break if you put it in his hand for him. And it is just unfortunate. I mean, to have the rookie season from hell, a lot of people are saying it is just terrible for him. And I don't know Trackhouse, besides, we talked about them a few times. I don't know what's going on with them. I can't put too much on him. I know he's still learning and everything. It's just so unfortunate because he's not being able to actually run these races. You know what I mean? He's only getting just a little bit of time in the seat, and then he's getting wrecked out. And it's just, that is so detrimental when you need all the laps and stuff that you can get, especially being a rookie, to kind of learn and figure these things out. So to see him a lot of the time ending up in situations where it's not even his fault necessarily, like he's getting caught up. And I'm not saying that all the time because he has done some things here and there. But it's just unfortunate because that seat time is just so valuable.
Yeah, and Connor, like Kevin mentioned, he just wrong place, wrong time, almost a lot, and it sucks for the guy. It's like he's running really well, but then he just gets caught up in the mayhem. So with Trackhouse, Ross Chastain was the only one to get a top 10 this weekend. He got a P8. And then Zilich, got a P23, and the old SVG got P31. So not a great day for two of the three drivers there over at Trackhouse. But Kevin, a little bit ago, you were talking about old BK. Brad Keselowski, man, he's talking about bad luck too. I mean, in the first 13 races of this year, he didn't have a single DNF. But in the last three races, he's had the last 3 weeks in a row, he's had a DNF, which has really, like I said, dropped him and it's hurt him in the points. Can he come back? I think he can, as long as he doesn't get any more DNFs. So if him and Connor can, kind of not get wrecked out, and neither one of them were their fault, and that's what's really crappy about it. Both of those guys got just shafted in this race. So, hopefully BK can get back up there. He's getting up there in age a little bit. I think he's got a few more years in him. I know Denny Hamlin's still kind of on the fence. He'll run probably one more year with Joe Gibbs, but after that, I know he's going to do any full-time riding, you guys.
Yeah, and I think, BK, if you're looking at the schedule between now and when we get to the start of the chase, we've got two super speedways, right? We've got Atlanta, we've got Daytona. Kind of count out the road courses for BK. I don't really see him doing well there unless he somehow surprises me. Chicagoland, we got a mile and a half, North Wilkesboro. We go to the Brickyard. We've got Iowa short track, Richmond short track, New Hampshire. That's kind of a Ryan Blaney track. So, I mean, I think those guys' opportunity is definitely going to be the super speedways. But who knows? I mean, that's a crapshoot too. You could be leading the race and then get taken out on an overtime finish. So, that's NASCAR racing at its best. But how about Christopher Bell going out there with a fractured wrist, had a chance to get a decent finish. I mean, they definitely pushed the fuel a little bit too far there, but out there with driving with a cast, didn't qualify well, was up there leading laps. Denny was obviously charging, coming like a full head of steam there. But if you go back to this race last year, this is how Chase Briscoe won this race a year ago. He was on the same strategy: save fuel, hope for a late race yellow. We didn't get it. Ultimately fell into the lap of Denny Hamlin. I think Tyler Reddick would have got him if we had about 5 laps to go there. But interesting strategy, just didn't play out for the 20.
Yeah, and the 20, it's weird. I know, Sky, you weren't with us last weekend, but it was last Monday, Christopher Bell's uncle texted me and said, before it was even out on the news yet, that he would definitely be racing this race at Pocono. And I know, after the race, Christopher Bell's kind of talking about it. He's like, this usually takes about 6 weeks to heal. And he's like, I'm okay kind of shifting and driving on these ovals. But as far as, the tracks that are coming up between Sonoma and, San Diego, that's going to be really hard on him and his hand and his wrists. I hope he can hold up for it, because that's just a fresh, crack. Luckily, he didn't totally break it, didn't need any surgery or anything like that, because that would have just crushed it. But overall, NASCAR has been doing really well on the networks recently. We've had 4 straight sellouts in a row between the Coke 600, Nashville, Michigan, and now Pocono. And I think they said Pocono was the 4th year of them actually selling out too. So, and another thing, this weekend was an amazing weekend just for sports in general. I mean, you had the Stanley Cup playoffs and you had the Carolina Hurricanes beating out Las Vegas. We had the New York Knicks taking out San Antonio. This is what I loved was, I don't know if you guys saw it on Saturday, but we had, Brian Deegan, Haley Deegan's dad, Travis Pastrana, Jeremy McGrath, Carmichael, Deegan, Twitch, all just throwing backflips across the White House lawn. And then, of course, we had the fight that lasted last night until about 1:30 in the morning. And Gaethje just crushed him, but it was a hell of a fight. But what a great weekend for sports overall. I just couldn't believe how much stuff there was to actually watch this weekend, you guys.
Yeah, I didn't catch much of it. I did catch the Knicks stuff, but I just feel like everybody's a Knicks fan all of a sudden. I'm hoping this New York Knicks energy is going to rub off on the Jets, and maybe we get some good luck in the next few years. I'm going to say that now, and it's going to be the freaking Giants, I bet.
Well, I'm a New England guy, so you already know I have nothing good to say about the New York
Boo.
Knicks. Congrats to the team. No congrats to their fans. I think their fans are Well, we won't go there, but they're burning their cities down, and that's not what we see in the NASCAR community. We kind of unite. We don't behave that way when we go out and win championships or don't win championships. But yeah, all in all, jam-packed weekend. It's great to see motorsports at an all-time high. I applaud NASCAR for moving this race up 2 hours, or we would probably not be podcasting right now due to the weather. I think they timed that out absolutely perfectly because we wouldn't have made it to stage 2 there, Jeff, and would have had to continue to run this into Monday. So, and I think also Prime did a good job working with them on that. Some of these networks don't always have that availability. And that's another reason why we need more Prime.
Prime's crushing it just like they did last year. We said it last year. We're saying it again this year. Prime is doing a damn good job. I hope they definitely get more races. I just like the broadcasting's a lot better. And Kevin, like you just mentioned, that weather, yeah. If they wouldn't have, started a couple hours early, I was watching that radar, and even towards the end of the race, there was still some rain actually moving in, but we still got the full race in without any rain delays or anything like that. So overall, like I said, I loved seeing the sellout crowds. It's been, the last few years, we've had a little bit of lull in attendance across different tracks. So to see 4 sellouts in a row, the last 4 races, and again, like I said, Pocono getting their 4th year of straight sellouts is really great, and it's positive for the sport. So I'm really excited for next week. I think it's kind of cool that we're doing 2 road courses in a row. Now, I don't know what to expect with the San Diego race. I've seen the layout of it. Will admit I definitely love the layout of this track better than what we have in Chicago, because Chicago's got a couple like straight up 90-degree turns, and you have to just slow so much. And that's where we're seeing a lot of guys with too much speed running into the barrels, causing cautions that technically shouldn't even be there. Hopefully this is going to be a good race next week, and maybe even go there next year too. I'd much rather see that than see Chicago again, you guys.
I did like the Chicago street course. I think maybe if I do agree with what you're saying though. Like those hard turns, I mean, it was causing a lot of issues. But back to Prime, I did want to mention before we, get fully into San Diego, I I don't know the logistics of everything, but I would love to see Prime maybe ditching this cable stuff altogether. Obviously that's probably a very controversial topic, but if you just think about like what Kevin said about how a lot of the networks and stuff, they don't always have that availability to move around. And on top of that, with broadcasting you have, or I guess I should say, streaming. With streaming you have less restrictions, with the cussing and what you can and can't say or what you can and can't do. So I do like that. It kind of gives the drivers a little more personality, when they're cussing. Because I know like Suarez, he loves to throw a little F-bomb in there every once in a while. He's so funny. But I'm really excited for San Diego. I do like that they're doing this whole road course back to back. Are we going to get sick of seeing SVG win though? I don't know.
I mean, he's got to be the early favorite, just like we say at every single road course, street course, what you want to call it. Thing is, we've had no laps on this track. We don't know. I've seen a little bit of an iRacing, some of it on the sim. Are you still doing iRacing, Sky?
I don't really much anymore. I didn't like it much. I hated streaming with that. I didn't like people watching me.
That's fair. But that's really the only place we've had a first look at what this racetrack's going to look like. I mean, I have an aerial view here of it. Jeff, you'd kind of mentioned that the 90-degree turns are limited, which they are. I think turns 2 and 3 are going to be the hardest left-handers, but they're slower speeds, right? Because at Chicago, we were coming full song down the front straightaway into a 90-degree left, whereas this kind of hooks, start-finish line, you hook right down into turn 1 and then a hard left and then another hard left, and we kind of cruise all the way around. It's a 3.4-mile track, guys, which is the longest course that we're going to run all season long. It's going to be interesting. The trucks are going to be the first to hit it on Friday. We've got O'Reilly there and Cup. So I think this is just going to be a really, really fun weekend, something unique for NASCAR. And I love the city of San Diego. It's one of my favorite places to vacation. The beaches are great. A lot of military presence there, Jeff. All around, it's a great city.
Yeah, I was just out there. What was that, about a month and a half ago on business and up in Mission Viejo. And it's just a very beautiful area. One of my favorite parts is Dana Point. Just, you go south of Los Angeles by about 15 miles. And from there all the way down to San Diego is just absolutely gorgeous. So to see this race coming up at Coronado, I'm really excited. And, I want to bring this up too, to see if you guys have watched this stuff. Kevin, I think you have, but I don't know if you have, Sky. Did you watch the Eli Manning's Undercover with Ryan Blaney yet?
No, I'm actually watching that tonight. It's funny you bring it up, but it seems pretty funny.
Oh, I laughed my ass off. It was actually great. The only person that recognized him, like they did this tour with a group of fans, took him through the whole facility. No one caught on really until the very, very end. Other than
don't give it away, Jeff.
Oh,
For the people that
sorry.
haven't seen it.
If they haven't seen it, well, go watch it. You will laugh. It's funny. No, I'm giving the spoiler alert here. Whoops, my bad. But I also watched the what was that? Navy versus NASCAR. It was kind of good. Not near as good as I think the undercovers were, though, you guys. So Sky, definitely go watch it tonight. It's great.
I love Ryan Blaney, and I love that he is doing that. I think I don't remember hearing much about it, but I remember NASCAR has that incentive right now. Like, well, is that still going on? The incentive for drivers to go out and pretty much plaster their faces for extra money. I remember Joey like won or something. Do any of us know if that's still going on?
I don't know if that's still going on or not. I remember a little bit about that, but he's definitely putting himself out there, which you got to love it because he's got a personality and he's putting himself out there with the fans. I think it's awesome.
Anytime we have crossovers like that, I mean, Eli Manning does a great job with his. And again, this is coming from doing a Patriots fan who got beat by Eli Manning twice. I'll give the guy credit. He's great at what he does. And I love to see kind of crossover projects when we have football players come in, vice versa. That's one of the cool things that we get to do now with multi-cross platforms, seeing NASCAR on different streaming platforms, allowing people to do podcasting. All this stuff has really, really helped grow the audience and especially the younger generation and, driver engagement. All this stuff's all-time high.
Kevin, I got to give you a little bit of crap, though, since we're talking about Eli Manning. I loved watching Peyton Manning roast Tom Brady, their brother.
Well, the Tom Brady roast all around was fantastic.
I'll roast Tom Brady for free right now on the podcast if we need. No, I'm super excited for San Diego. We be jumping around so much. I never said anything about Christopher Bell. I do hope he heals fast. I also want him, I think we've learned this in the last few weeks for sure. I do want him to prioritize his health above anything else. So I hope that he does take that risk seriously. He doesn't do anything. 6 weeks is such a short amount of time. You don't want to do something, injure it to where you're out even longer. So all the best prayers and wishes for him and his recovery. And I just don't want to see him, end up breaking it or hurting it worse and being out even longer.
So I read a little bit of news and Christopher Bell's quote. They said, the media wasn't going to go and give out how hard that impact was that he took last week. But Christopher Bell said he was told that it was 63 G's on impact. That is an incredibly, incredibly hard hit. He mentioned that he was so glad that just his head was okay and that that fracture was the worst thing that happened. Because 63 G's is, I mean, you don't even see that in jet planes, when these aircrafts are taken off, as far as like military aircraft and stuff like that. The impact was just incredible.
It really was. And it makes me wonder when we talk, there's so much discourse and conversation about the NFL and CTE. But I know there's a lot of protection in NASCAR, but I'm almost interested to see if there's anything there. I mean, the hits that these drivers take, and sometimes there's drivers like they have a couple weeks in a row where they're just like constantly taking hits, and it's just so unfortunate. Like I said, above all else, I just hope he prioritizes his health because that will always be the most important thing, for sure. So best of luck to him, and hopefully these road courses will treat him well.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there with all of it. I mean, the CTE, the concussion protocols, we have obviously some of the safest race cars you can possibly strap somebody into, but 63 G's, your brain is going to move inside the skull. So the fact that he didn't have, a more severe traumatic brain injury or something along the lines of what we saw John Force go through, he's very fortunate for. And, I'm curious to see, we saw what Alex Bowman went through, with vertigo and his concussions, and Kurt Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. back when he hit the wall in Kansas and it was out on concussion protocol. That was the reason Jr. never wanted to run a super speedway again. So I think that even though we have the safest equipment out there, Jeff, that doesn't mean that there's not underlying injuries that we need to be very careful that we don't miss.
Yeah, 100%. Christopher Bell said, I owe all of this to NASCAR and the safety that they've put into the cars and the safer barriers. He didn't put it quite this way, but that's what saved his ass. It really did, because that lick was a hell of a hard lick. So, I'm glad that it wasn't worse. And like Sky said, health above all things. I think he's going to take it pretty damn easy with these two road courses coming up. I don't think he's going to really want to push the limits too hard because he said, during Pocono, he could drive with one hand pretty much, the whole race for the most part because there wasn't a whole lot of shifting. As Kevin mentioned last week, Pocono has the longest straightaway of any track we go to. So, when you can pop 1/3 of that track, if not more than 1/3 of that track, and just haul ass down the line, that really helped him in his driving. But I think he's going to have a rough time in these next 2 weeks, Kevin.
Well, we'll see. Once we get to practice and kind of how he's feeling, there's no question he's going to be doing a lot of sim work. That's definitely going to kind of give these guys an early look at can he physically handle this, the left and rights, the shifting. It's a lot. These drivers definitely go through a lot. So it's going to be a test. I guess before we put in our San Diego picks, we'll touch quickly on the Josh Berry news that came out. He will not be returning to the Wood Brothers Racing for 2027. And this gives the call up to Jesse Love. I think Jesse Love's ready for Cup. I mean, the limited experience he has had in Cup, I think he's handled the race car well. I think it's a good call up for him, but kind of unfortunate for Josh Berry. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, this stuff happens all the time, and I don't think that Josh Berry is a bad driver. I actually think he is a very talented driver. It is unfortunate because he did just get a win for them, but I mean, there's much more that goes on behind the scenes, and I don't think that he's gonna have he has to bounce back to the O'Reilly. Maybe he finds somewhere else in Cup. I'm not sure. But it does make you a little worried because you think about we talked about. I think Jeff was mentioning about how Priest's charter is like up or like there's a lot of things moving parts, so it might even be hard for him to even find somewhere to go after this. But best of luck to Josh Briggs. I do really like him, and it is unfortunate, but it's just kind of the way that these things go sometimes, especially with a team like the Wood Brothers. I mean, they're kind of just like a turnover team, you know?
I was actually just going to say that, Sky. The Wood Brothers seems to be consistently in the last 10 years hold on to their drivers for an average of maybe 2 years to 3 years at the most. We've seen them, burn and churn through a lot of really good drivers. And being that it's just a one car team, I know they kind of struggle a little bit, and you can't really blame that on the driver, at least all the time. Josh Berry hasn't had the greatest year, but we've seen him do well when he's substituted for other drivers. So again, I think a lot of it boils down to equipment and just, Wood Brothers, they've been around forever. We love them. That car always is the same pretty much look. It's classic. Of course, we don't want to see them going anywhere, but yeah, they churn through the drivers, Kevin.
For sure. And there's been a lot of iconic moments for that car. I mean, we saw Harrison Burton win Daytona there. We've seen Trevor Bayne. Ryan Blaney got his Cup Series start there in 2015 before he went to Penske. So it's a good introductory kind of team with a lot of history into the Cup Series, especially for a guy like Jesse Love, who's coming up. He's ready for, a big ride. He's putting himself in position that, when one of these guys exits, he's maybe can get into a full-time, long contract with a bigger ride. So good for Jesse Love there. We'll see where Barry ends up. I mean, he's a good short track racer. If anything else, he can find himself down in an O'Reilly race or, Josh Berry's definitely still going to be burning and turning some race cars. So on to San Diego. I just don't, I mean, obviously we could, SVG is the obvious pick here, guys. I'm sure I won't take him this week. So if one of you want to take him, that's fine. Just still analyzing this racetrack, right? We're going to be looking at about 75 laps around a 3.4 mile racetrack. Pit strategy is going to be interesting. We see a lot of stage flipping at road courses. It's really tough to have a maximum points day because of that. So, that kind of makes it interesting. I'm going to take a wild card pick here. I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs for San Diego. He's been very, very consistent. He was very consistent in Mexico City. We see him Chicago Street Course. He was great. Always in position at COTA. I'm going to go with the 54 here for San Diego.
So I'm doing something a little different this week because San Diego is actually on Father's Day this year. And without my dad, I wouldn't be NASCAR Sky. So I decided to reach out to him and see. I didn't tell him I was doing this. Both my parents listen to the podcast every week. So hi, Mom and Dad. I love you both so much. I asked him who he thought was going to win, who his pick was. And he did, in fact, pick SVG. So in honor of my dad and Father's Day, I too will be picking SVG to win. And it's a pretty solid pick, Dad. I can't hate it too much. I mean, he did really well in Mexico. And that's, a track that drivers didn't have any time on. So I think it's a pretty solid pick.
Well, I think Dad's going to hit the nail on the head on that one too. That's a great pick. I haven't quite decided yet. I'll give you my pick here in just a second. But before I did that, and I know we've kind of already moved on to San Diego, but I did want to bring up that there's now 3 drivers in NASCAR history that have more wins than DNFs in the entire Cup career. And Denny Hamlin just joined that. Kevin Harvick had 60 wins and only 49 DNFs in his career. Denny Hamlin had 63 wins and only 61 DNFs. Jimmy Johnson, the man, had 83 wins with 76 DNFs. Now, over the career, when you look at someone, how long, like especially Harvick and Hamlin and Johnson, how many races those guys won, of course you're going to get DNFs. Hell, Brad Keselowski's going to rack him up if he doesn't quit getting wrecked. He's going to rack that up just this season. But no, I gave it a little bit of thought, and I do think SVG is probably the choice. He'll probably take her down. But I'm going to go out just a little bit. I'm going to go with Michael McDowell this weekend, you guys.
It's a good pick. I mean, it's another road course ringer. I would throw AJ Allmendinger in there, right? If we're talking fantasy, right? I think Ty Gibbs, Sky, you hit the nail on the head with SVG. Christopher Bell, I would probably say stay away from him just because of his condition, even though he's shown
Yep.
strength on road courses, right? But again, it's a fresh start. We just don't know who's going to get this course dialed in. We're shooting from the hip. We're going in blind. At least Mexico City still had some previous history. We're going into a racetrack that's being newly constructed, just like we did with the Chicago Street Course for the first time, which SVG won. So it's tough numbers to crunch here, guys.
Is it a crazy thing to say that maybe we throw Alex Bowman in there? I mean, hey, he won the Chicago Street Course. Who knows? Who knows? Really, it's always good though to not pick SVG on these races because you really never know what could happen. I mean, that he could wreck, he could get involved in something. I mean, he could have a tire issue. Could be a million things. So, it does pain me a little bit to pick the obvious answer because you guys know I don't like that, but I love my dad, so SVG it is.
I think Dad made a great pick. I seriously think he's going to win this race. All he's got to do is get out front kind of early and then just keep that lead that he always has. So if he can keep out front and keep on that starting grid, either P1, 2, 3, 4, right around there on these cautions, unless we're going to flip some stages, because we did see a lot of fuel strategies going on in Pocono. So there's a lot of strategy as far as these crew chiefs. They are so smart and they've got the stuff so dialed. But I think SVG's got a really damn good chance. Like I said, as long as he can keep his nose clean and stay out front.
And nobody mentioned Tyler Reddick, the winner of COTA earlier this year. Tyler Reddick is fantastic on road courses. Of course, if you're trying to save some fantasy picks, maybe not the best race to slot him into. But overall, I think Reddick is a good pick. I think he's going to run top 5. Could he contend with SVG? Even if SVG's not out front leading laps, we've seen him drive up through the field. He's just so good. It's going to be hard to bet against him. I'm sure DraftKings already has him at like a -110, just a ridiculous favorite. And then the same for Sonoma, Daniel Suarez, maybe another, kind of dark horse there. Suarez has shown
He's good.
Yeah. And he's had some speed with Spire, Sky.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking. He's what, 8th in points right now? 8th in the standings? I mean, I know that I wish I could be a fly on a wall to figure out what the heck happened with Trackhouse and why he left and what he's been pretty good this year. So, and it's unlike all of his other years at Trackhouse. So it's just interesting. I just wish I knew what happened there. This is kind of like a broad statement. I'm very excited for San Diego. We talked about it. I mean, it's something out of the box, different. I am just so happy as a NASCAR fan. Like, it has been so long since I felt this way. I mean, I've been a NASCAR fan since I've been a kid. I know a lot of us can relate that way. But for a few years there, it was just so mundane. It was just like, it felt like NASCAR didn't care about the fans. It felt like they were just doing whatever they wanted, whatever they thought was going to make money. It felt unauthentic. It just didn't feel good. Like, this is the most fun I've had as a NASCAR fan in so long. I mean, it's the little things, them moving the races up because rain. It's stuff that fans have been saying for years. I just cannot state enough how happy I am with the state of NASCAR at the moment. It's so good to hear that they are selling out. All these places are selling out. It just shows that when you go to your fan base and you see what they want and you start listening, like, things will change for the better.
100%. And that's coming from a race fan whose driver's not doing particularly well this season. But I do think Joey's going to have a bounce back year for sure. Still a lot of races to go. We're not counting the 22 out, of course, but a long hill to climb.
One thing I want to mention about this, it was kind of an eye-opening thing with the loss of Kyle Busch. There's a lot of my friends and NASCAR fans have made posts about him, and one stuck out to me so much, and they were just saying that they wish that they could just go back and be just so appreciative of, or they didn't realize how good they had it when he was running like 28th every week. You know what I mean? And that kind of shifted my perspective. And it's like, yeah, Joey might not be doing good, but it's honestly, it's just one of those things where it's like, at least he's racing, I still get to see him. So to me, that just shifted my whole perspective into just like a positive way. And, he'll get it. And if he doesn't, oh, well, at least I still get to see him race.
I know we have to close it down because we're getting out of time, shutting it down. But I think Tony Stewart gave a lot of shit to a lot of people that were NASCAR fans, saying it took him dying for a lot of people to figure out what he was off the racetrack, and it was kind of a bold statement the way he said it. And I won't give you the exact terminology that he used on that quote, but he said it's sad that it took his death to have people actually figure out who he was outside of the track and not just who he was when he was racing.
Yeah, Smoke definitely hit the nail on the head with those comments for sure. If you haven't heard those, go give them a listen. Tony's always pretty raw and honest, and it's an eye-opening thing for everybody, not just in the garage area, but across all of motorsports and just people in general. You don't know when it's gone, so let's enjoy it. Let's head out to San Diego. The weather's beautiful out there as always. I wish we were all going out for a Mission Beach burrito out there, a little Coronado racing, and then going up the coast for some wine country. So we're going left and right for the next 2 weeks, folks. So no bitching that we just go left. We're turning right a bunch here. We'll be back next Monday night to break down all of the historic action from San Diego. Be sure to follow us across all social media platforms at Mash the Gas, NASCAR Sky at NASCAR Sky. Mash that subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And until then, y'all,
Mash the gas.